So Kevin McCarthy was removed as Speaker of the House in a very, historic fashion. How long did he even run for? Like as the Speaker of the House, he ran for January 7th to October 3rd. I think that's literally that has to be the shortest reign, right? He barely got a year in as Speaker of the House, and they already kicked him out. But we're not really gonna get into much of it in like independently. We're really just kind of react to Hassan's video about it because I couldn't really find that much information about this. It doesn't feel like it's getting talked much. I'm gonna be honest. It feels like a lot of people are just kind of being like, "Yeah, this happened," and then we're just gonna move on.
And he has failed to take a stand where it matters. So if he won't,
he's failed to take a stand where it matters, killing poor American children.
Every hardworking American to afford a decent life for themselves and their families. And we have a greater opportunity to do that and to build coalitions under new leadership. We have to rip off the Band-Aid. We have to get back on a better...
Wait, he says we want to build coalitions under new leadership, but he's like ousting him because he collaborated with the Democrats.
Pretty predetermined. And this one, I'm not so
Something
sure.
he forced his hand into doing.
I am sure that we've made the right argument.
Yeah. Because the whole thing was like they just really wanted to shut down the government for it's been a long week. So a lot of this stuff is just kind of phasing me. But they wanted to like shut down the government and McCarthy was just like, "No, we're not going to do that. Like we're going to stay open." So he made a plan with the Democrats to like prevent all that. And now they're just pissed at him.
That this place deserves single subject spending bills, that we should have 72 hours to read a bill, that something that spends more than $100 million shouldn't be put on the suspension agenda such that we can't amend it, and there shouldn't be secret side deals made on a continuing resolution to lump Ukraine in with border security. That is not right for Ukraine or border security because it fails to give either of those issues the dignity that they would require. But we can return that dignity to this House. We can get back on a better path. We can have single subject appropriations bills. We can set a budget top line. We haven't had a budget in this place since I was in high school. So let's get a budget. Let's get our act together. Let's get on with it. Let's vacate the chair and let's get a better speaker. I yield back.
It's like that one meme, the worst person you know made a great point in respect to the funding of the military-industrial complex in Ukraine. Yeah, except it's not real. Matt Gaetz doesn't give a fuck about that, dude. What are you, crazy? He is a careerist. He only cares about getting more run time, getting more fucking camera time, and being disruptive because he recognizes that his base of support will not only not punish him for being disruptive, even to the Republicans, but they will actually celebrate him. And given that there are plenty of constraints and plenty of issues with the way that Congress works, ultimately you can make reasonable points even if you have no genuine interest in making those changes. Shouldn't Dems be pro-unseating McCarthy to make the Republicans look more disorganized? Yes, they are. Hakeem Jeffries actually came out a couple hours ago and said Democrats will not only... they won't stay out of it. They will actually vote against Kevin McCarthy. So
what's even funnier is that people have been trying to like make it look like it was the Democrats' fault for doing so. They're just like, if it wasn't for like you guys voting him out, this all wouldn't happen. I was just like, yeah, they saw the opportunity and it was just like, oh, will this make you guys look so much worse? Then yeah, we're gonna take it.
It's good overall for the Democratic Party, I would say, because it's chaos in the Republican Party, which is a clown show. It's chaos caused by how many concessions they've made and how they have basically whipped their fan base into thinking that like all matter of obstructionism is actually good because the ultimate goal is to destroy the federal government, and a good way to do that is by dismantling the legislative body, picking it apart piece by piece. So yeah, the House GOP can select anyone to be speaker, right? Do they think there's a chance we get Trump as speaker? I mean, no, I don't think that'll happen, but yes, anyone can be voted in as speaker of the House. This is true. They can vote for me if they wanted to. Yeah, currently as it stands, there are 11 GOP votes against tabling the motion to vacate so far. This needs 5+ all Dems to oust McCarthy from speakership. What happens if Ye wins? Does Bro just lose his job in 4K? I mean, he loses his position. He doesn't like get impeached. He's still the representative of Bakersfield. And the funniest part about this, of course, is that they don't have an alternative as far as I understand. Kever made contradictory and impossible promises just to get a job? Yes, but like in the beginning, he didn't have to make those promises. If he was popular enough in the Republican Party, and if he was like Nancy Pelosi knows how to fucking bring caucuses together. She knows how to whip her party. As much as I don't like her for ideological reasons, like I will never sit here and act like Nancy Pelosi doesn't know what the fuck she's doing and doesn't know how to, one, fundraise, and two, whip the party in whichever direction it needs to go towards, right? She is infinitely better than, yes, Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin, who absolutely suck ass, but they have to suck ass. It is by design for them to, the Senate is designed in a way for them to suck ass because there's always a rotating villain in the Senate that will inevitably throw bills, spike bills and just like kick it off, and the Democrats will just go, oh, we have no way of doing progressive legislation. Nancy Pelosi, on the other hand, is very good. Kevin McCarthy is not popular. He's just not well liked. He always wanted to be speaker, and he's not good at shutting these dudes the fuck up. And the Democratic Party and the accompanying media infrastructure, like the MSNBCs and the CNNs and the New York Times of the world, absolutely will bully and eviscerate those who stray away from whatever like the liberals who control government at any point in time want, whereas the Republican media infrastructure is so good at obstructionist policies and just like crippling the legislative body and promoting people that do that, you know, people like Matt Gaetz will not be bullied out of their position usually.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think he's being bullied out of position, but he does seem to be getting some form of pushback from this. Like, he has been he has been really obstructionist to the point where he is making them look like idiots that they are coming out fully against him. Like, they're even bringing out, like, the sex trafficking a minor case. Like, they are teasing that. I don't think anyone has fully said it, but they have been teasing it.
126 Dems have voted yes, and 0 Dems have voted no. 7 Republicans have voted yes as well. It's over. It's definitely Jover at this point. Mm-hmm. Andy Biggs, Ken Buck, Tim Burchett, Eli Crane, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, and Nancy Mace voted to oust Kevin McCarthy.
They might be over the edge right now because we just don't know how many members are out. As I indicated, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, is not here today. She's attending.
Every single day was just like, no, we have to make them look like idiots with this. Like, this is our chance, all right? And they're doing a pretty good job, but I don't think they really needed help. I'm gonna be honest.
The funeral
but
in
this is just really helpful
for the former senator, the late Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein.
It is wild that
it wouldn't have happened without them. That's the thing, is that this, obviously, if you look at that big fucking difference, like, go back to it. 208 plus 8, 216 total. But a large amount of that number being Dems, and a bunch of Republicans just being like, no, we're not going to remove him. But yeah, this was like their golden opportunity to be like, let's make them look like fucking idiots with this.
It is wild that Nancy Pelosi's not there to fucking drive the knife because she's too busy going to Dianne Feinstein's funeral.
Vote or change their vote at the very end. So that's why, you know, it could be
ruining another vote even
right
after
now.
Death. Yes, dude. Feinstein's legacy continues, okay? Her fucking carcass is capable of, like, ruining a good moment.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news and a major shift in power on Capitol Hill. The House just voted to remove Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his post in a high-stakes vote just now on the House floor. It comes after McCarthy, the top Republican, cut a deal with Democrats to avert a government shutdown over the weekend that angered some in his own party whose demands were dropped in the negotiations. It happened because one of those Republicans, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, introduced the resolution to remove.
He just looks like a bad guy. He looks like the main antagonist of a Taken movie.
How does it benefit the Democrats to vote out McCarthy? What do you mean? It's the Republican Party rat fucking itself. Why would that not benefit the Democrats? Why would?
If you were in a fight with someone and you were aware that that person had like a bad leg or something, why wouldn't you utilize that bad leg in your fight? Like, obviously you would kick the leg. And like, some people would be like, oh, well, that's a dick move, that's not fair. It's like, if you're fighting to the death, it doesn't really matter. And that's basically what this is. Like, it's them seeing an opportunity to really cripple their opponents. The people that they see as like stopping them from getting what they want done. So they're going to make them look like idiots. They're going to cripple them in a way. To me, it's not that big of a blow. It does make them look like idiots, and I think it's, really bad for, like, public consensus of the Republican Party, where it's just, like, making these guys look like idiots will go a long way in terms of, like, the Republican belief. Like, I don't know. The public appeal of Republicans is really going to take a hit from this. But even then, it's not like this is the death of the Republican Party. Like, it's just a way to kind of, like, cripple it a bit.
Anytime you think about anything, assume what would the Republicans do in a situation if the roles were reversed. If the Democrats operate in a similar capacity, that means they're doing a good fucking job, okay? So you're saying it helps Democrats, but it fucks over the American people. House is deadlocked now for who knows how long. Countdown to shutdown in just 45 days. That is an insane fucking situation to put on the Democrats. Kevin McCarthy and the Republican Party internally caused this from the jump because of their slim majority. If they actually cared about the American population and not pushing for a shutdown, they wouldn't have literally tried to push for a shutdown and then did this to Kevin because he had no other option but to literally continue budgeting and continue funding the government for 45 extra days, dog. It's insane. And more insane because we already had this conversation like 2 months ago where they said, okay, that's fine. You'll make some concessions to us and we'll promise. We'll do one of those like pinky promises where I fucking do this behind my back to not have this happen literally right now. But you can.
Yeah, it's literally just. This is all happening because of people like Matt Gaetz. Like, they're shooting themselves in the foot, and that's what makes them even look more stupid. And this is why what the Democrats are doing is a great thing. Like, they're taking every opportunity that's being handed to them and using it to their advantage. Like, oh, okay, the Republicans are basically like want the government to shut down, even though McCarthy doesn't. Okay, well, we'll make a deal with him to make sure that doesn't happen. And when eventually they try to vote him out because, he's doing something that they don't like, then we will side with them and kick him out to make them look worse and also make sure that their stuff just doesn't pass. Like, it's just trying to blame this on Democrats. It's just like, you can't. Like, it's all Republicans' fault. They're just taking advantage of something that is literally just gift wrapped handed to them.
Let me bring in.
Well, the stages of grief, I think, are in progress right now.
Let's listen to a little of this.
Colleagues, I think there was a stage of denial, and I've certainly experienced a good amount
He's
of
so
anger.
happy. Look at
Now
this
we've
little
headed toward
shithead.
bargaining. I think the world of Steve Scalise. I think he'd make a phenomenal speaker.
Has anyone spoken to you? We've got less than 45.
I'm afraid of $33 trillion in debt crushing the working people in my district. I'm afraid of the dollar losing its status as the global reserve currency. If they want to expel me, let me know when they have the
Yeah, that will definitely.
Yeah, I care so much about the working people in my district that I want to shut down the government.
You know what he's actually afraid of? The FBI. Continuing.
He's like, I need to shut down the government before they get to me.
Into him, sex trafficking minors. That's what he's really afraid of. Let's be real.
The chamber, Matt Gaetz, continue to talk. Let me bring in Chief
Maybe
White
he's
House.
doing all this and boosting his public profile so when the inevitable fucking FBI investigation comes to a conclusion or something, he can be like, they're ousting me because I was a brave truth teller about American debt or some shit. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah, that's what they
I'm
always
just saying.
do.
I'm just spitballing at this point because, like, there's...
I mean, we saw that with fucking Russell Brand recently. Where, like, all that shit started coming out, and everyone's just like, they're coming after him because he's saying the truth.
Will you yourself nominate Steve Scalise for Speaker of the House?
Maybe. I want to hear from him. I mean, I'm not here to make...
Dude, that's my favorite
Where
part.
Mr.
He doesn't
Scalise
even have a
stands with
guy.
his
He doesn't even know if Steve Scalise wants it, dude. He's like, no, I'm going to do it.
He's doing this without a plan at all. And he's just making it up as he goes along. Like, he literally has no plan. He doesn't care. And I think this is not going to look out great for him at all.
Dude, that's so good. This is so perfect, dude. This is a perfect demonstration of Republican obstructionist policies in display. They do not have any real goals. They've actually made all of the tangible policy goals, like eviscerating fucking, federal regulation, the regulatory body in general. Like, they achieved all of that. So they have nothing left. So now they're just, like, spitballing and fighting one another with no reason, with no real transparent objective in sight. They're just kind of fucking each other up now for no fucking particular reason. They're just like bored. They said YOLO, let's fuck shit up. Suffering from success, exactly. They forgot that you're not supposed to go that far. You're not supposed to win all the fucking time. And now they're doing it. They said fuck it, YOLO, don't give a shit.
Former President Trump weighing in on Truth Social saying, quote, "Why is it that Republicans are always fighting among themselves? Why aren't they fighting the radical left Democrats who are destroying our country?" Judge Janine.
Wait,
I'm curious.
What?
First of all,
What?
without this
They're the radical Democrats.
historic, something like this hasn't happened in well over 100 years. And now what we've got is total chaos when the Republicans are playing out their infighting on national television in a historic way.
That's fucking
instead
awesome.
Of fighting Joe Biden's
Yes.
policies.
Yes.
The one
Yes!
time we are
What
opposite
policy,
to every
dumbass?
metric.
You have no policy. You won everything. What policy?
You got the
What do you want to
Republican-
kill women that even think about getting an abortion? Like, what's the policy?
There's absolutely no policy with the Republican Party, so much to the point where they're, like, the only thing they've been, like, really advocating for like, this past few weeks, outside of the Kevin McCarthy, stepping down as House Speaker, was to shut down the government. Like, they don't have anything else. That's the thing. Like, they're so used to being the party right now that it's just, like, meant to be, like, the anti-culture, I guess, counterculture, even though they're not, let's be honest. To be, like, the rebel rousers within the system. But now that they have a majority in the House, they can't do that. Like, now they're just like, oh, I guess we're just kind of here. I guess we'll just be more dicks. But now since we have all the power, it's just going to make us look worse.
Policy you have? Like a federal mandate?
They
What
have been
policy?
trying to
Just like
do-
melting homeless people? Melting unemployed people. If you're on unemployment insurance for more than fucking 4 months, we just kill you. Or we come to your house and we use the National Guard to make you get back to work at gunpoint. If you're on disability, we just fucking kill you. Is that the policy? What policies remain in the Republican Party, really?
Are now joining with the MAGA Republicans to oust Speaker McCarthy. This is like the devil is in the middle of all of this chaos, and Donald Trump is right. Why are the Republicans fighting with each other like this?
That's
All right,
fucked
so
up.
Chad Pergram is telling us.
Oh, that's from
Daylight
January
meet
4th.
tonight,
Oh, shit.
meet tonight. It's all in flux. Greg, you've been following this very closely all day. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I got to leave because they need a speaker.
You do.
So it's kind of pathetic. But that's my opinion, and I'll be going now.
So
this is what force the vote looks like. Does anyone else think this is helping push conservative policy? Yeah, exactly. That's why the force the vote shit was stupid as fuck. Even on the Democratic side, it still makes a little bit more sense because at least it's like associated with a tangible policy position. Let's say it was like Medicare for all or forcing a vote on Medicare for all. But even then, this is exactly what was going to happen in that situation, where it would just make these people look fucking insane. A comparison you can't make, by the way, within the Democratic Party, and I brought this up earlier, a comparison you can't make in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is that the Democratic Party does not run on obstructionist policies, or rather, the obstructionists within the Democratic Party are neoliberal corporatists who are always defended by the mainstream media, whereas obstructionists in the other direction that would try to disrupt process in the direction against corporate interest will be absolutely destroyed. No such similarity exists in the Republican Party, where the Republicans, their Republican base of support, do not punish the Republicans for doing this kind of thing. And even then it looks bad. Even then it still looks fucking so stupid. I guess it's still the same issues that I was just bringing up, but this conflict is a spiritual one that impacts the core of the Republican Party. It's literally the same conflict that is playing out right now between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. It's the same issue all around the Republican Party.
Yeah,
The stink
like
that they have right...
DeSantis likes to make himself out as like a reasonable Republican, like compared to Trump at least, when he's not. He's the same kind of fucking, moronic, fucking brain dead Republican that Trump is in a lot of factors. The only difference between them is Trump is a lot more charismatic. Like, that's the thing. He's still an outright fucking disgusting person. There's a reason why there's plenty of Nazis outside of Disney that hold his flags up there.
Right now comes from the suffering that they're experiencing from their own personal successes. There is not a popular momentum. There is not any sort of popular movement that says, oh my God, it's so fucking sick that you're like trying to kill 1% of the population in the country. I'm of course talking about trans people. Like, there is no genuine single issue voter on the trans stuff. There isn't. In the same way that there is absolutely single issue voters on the gun stuff. The reality is that, and not even 1%, exactly. Like, there's no appetite for this. There's no appetite for a national abortion ban. There was no appetite for eviscerating Roe v. Wade. There was no appetite for any of that beyond marginal Republican bases of support. And once they actually ended up doing the damn thing, once they actually ended up following through on their 35-year project.
Let's get back to it. Even with Republicans, even though it is majority yes, it's still such a like close difference where it's basically there's basically almost no difference at all. Like, there's still a bunch of them that agree like, no, it shouldn't be overturned. Like, keep it the way it is. And when you look at everything else, independents and Democrats, it's the same. It's just, no, don't overturn it. But it's just this one, like this 50% of this one group that's just like, no, we should overturn it. It's just so fucking weird. Like, they don't have the interest of the people in mind because a lot of people didn't want it to be overturned.
Once they actually ended up doing the damn thing, once they actually ended up following through on their 35-year project, all of a sudden, you can't even lie and be like, no, actually, we're not on board with, like, criminalizing abortion so that people who have ectopic pregnancies in places like Texas fucking die at the operating table because doctors are too terrified of going to jail for operating on them for a medically necessary abortion. That is something you can't lie about anymore because you did it. You fucking did it. Before, you could have just dangled it in front of the fucking stupid evangelical Protestant Christians and been like, yeah, I totally want to do this. Oh, Democrats, on the other hand, they want to fucking kill your baby after it pops out of your pussy. They kept saying that. And they could get away with not really doing anything beyond the red tape and the trap laws and not criminalizing abortion, but basically making it impossible to get an abortion, especially if you're poor in one of these red states. But they had to fucking push further. So now, when you actually follow through on some of those policies, especially ones that are so tangibly and immediately ruining the lives of people, including Republicans in red states, like Republican women in red states, Republicans who have daughters living in fucking red states who can't get an abortion, who are fucking terrified. All of a sudden, when you do that, there isn't a cognitive bias that can help you in that situation unless you're like completely fucking schizo. You're done. In the past, Republican voters could do that fucking Pew Research always comes to mind, where Republicans don't believe their own policies when focus tested on their own policies. Like, Republican voters will be asked about Republican policies and they'll go, nah, they would never do that. That confusion can no longer exist when you do the things that you've done that immediately impact the Republicans' daily lives.
I'll be paying attention to who's present and who's absent.
Secretary Castro.
Whether you're gonna have enough of those Republicans that are
yeah, that's what I was talking. This right here is what I was talking about earlier. Gates' ouster of McCarthy draws attention to his ethics issues.
Just kidding, dog. What the fuck? Gates' ouster of McCarthy draws attention to his ethics issues. Representative Matt Gaetz is facing a House committee inquiry into allegations of sexual misconduct and misuse of funds. Representative Kevin McCarthy has argued Mr. Gates' motive against him is payback. Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome. Who cares? What do you mean? That's fire. What? Well, yeah, it seems like Mr. McCarthy has argued that Mr. Gates' motion to remove him as Speaker is a little more than personal payback for McCarthy's failure to interfere with the inquiry, which is looking into the allegations of sexual misconduct and misuse of funds by Mr. Gaetz. Mr. Gaetz, a Florida Republican. I love that, like, Matt Gaetz is such a scumbag. And he's such a little vermin that he runs around and is just like, everyone has to defend me doing possible pedophilia and sex
he tried to seek a pardon
minors.
from Trump regarding this. Like, pre-ordained, like, before, like, I mean, there hasn't been a solid verdict on, like, the investigation. But even before then, when, like, Trump was in power, he literally tried to go to Trump to be like, when this occurs, can you give me a pardon? Like, he's such
I'm gonna go to Trump.
He's just running around, just being like, oh, here we go. Like, he's just going around just being like, yeah, I fucking did it, and I need a pardon for it.
But I'm gonna be like, Mr. Trump, sir, please, can you give me like a de facto across the board full blown pardon? Or Kevin McCarthy, you have to defend me. You have to defend me. Like, oh, what if there's an ethics committee investigation into my actions? It's like, what are you fucking crazy? Since the spring of 2021, Mr. Gates has been under investigation over allegations he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor, misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, and accepted impermissible gifts under House rules, among other allegations. By the way, still not enough to just fucking take him out. In February, the Justice Department decided not to bring charges against Mr. Gates after concluding they could not make a strong enough case in court. That is fucking such bullshit, by the way, because they have Venmo records of him. Why is he giving $700 on Venmo to a 17-year-old? And his fucking bestie is currently in jail for sex trafficking. The double investigation that was being conducted into Matt Gaetz and his fucking bestie in Florida ended with his bestie in Florida going to jail. He's in prison now for the same shit that Matt Gaetz was being investigated for. However, a person familiar with the matter said the committee, which is made up of an equal number of Republicans and Democrats, has not yet reached out to a key witness of the search.
Yeah, for anyone else, that would just be like immediate throw in jail, throw away the key. But for some reason, with this fucking guy, despite the fact that there's plenty to tie him directly to the sex trafficking that was going on, he's still able to go get away with it. But who knows? If this is actually what causes him to get put away, that would be so fucking funny. Let's be honest.
Investigations against Mr. Gaetz. People familiar with the situation spoke about the investigation on the condition of anonymity because it is confidential. Mr. McCarthy has repeatedly suggested the Ethics Committee investigation prompted Mr. Gaetz to lash out at him, blaming him for the inquiry. The ethics complaint against Matt happened in the last Congress, Mr. McCarthy said on Fox News on Monday, adding, it would be illegal for me to do anything in that committee. Say what you want about Representative Matt Gaetz, but his friend is currently sentenced to 11 years in prison in sex trafficking case. Joel Greenberg, who is a Republican Party guy in Florida, or was, sorry, because now he is in prison.
And Ari, this political moment, you know, the president is campaigning on Bidenomics. People at home feel it's not working for them, at least according to the polls. There's real concern about the border, about crime around the country. These are all sweet spots for Republicans. Yeah. And yet, at this moment, the focus is on Republicans, and the White House has to be politically loving this moment.
Oh, absolutely. In an economy this bad, with all the trend lines going toward the Republicans are the ones who are saving the Democrats.
True.
And it's just amazing.
That is true. Crime, border, that stuff is mania, mostly created by these fucking freaks. But it is effective in the sense that, like, Americans do care about that sort of thing. They're made to care about that sort of thing, thinking that it's a real issue. But yeah, this is a moment. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Fox News is correct. Republicans are literally gift wrapping a dub to the Democratic Party. And if it wasn't fucking Joe Biden's decrepit carcass manning the ship right now, the Democrats would be winning by Reagan levels. Like, historic. If the same changes were being made, not by Joseph Robinette Brandon, but instead like a younger, more dynamic Democrat, I'm not even kidding. If the same situation was occurring right now, under the leadership of a more dynamic Democrat, and not one that is like a fucking, decrepit carcass, the popularity of the party would be fucking unimaginable. Joe Brandon's age is such a massive burden. If this was 2008 Biden, he'd be so popular, oh my God. He would literally, people would say, Obama who? They would literally if this was 2008 Biden, people would literally hail him as the champion. Like the New Deal, FDR. I'm not even kidding. What some of the agencies are doing is like not actually bad. It's actually good, as a matter of fact. The economy has not recovered, of course, to a comfortable, or has gotten to a comfortable pace. But that stuff takes a lot of time. And a way to immediately remove the floodgates and allow people to feel like they're in a better economic situation is, in many instances, doing something like a massive debt relief, right? Student loan debt, maybe. That's controlled by the Department of Education. If you did something along those lines, oh my God, it would be crazy. But beyond that, if Brandon was at the level of vibrancy as Trump, or at the level of vibrancy of Bernie Sanders, like if he looked like he was all there all the time, and it wasn't just like sometimes the lights are off when he's in public, and you can kind of tell. If the situation looked like that, he would be pretty popular. Here, let's
If it wasn't for the fact that it always seems like he's sleepwalking, whenever he's like got the cameras on him. I mean, there's a few times where he does kind of like look normal, but it's when he's like very passionate about something. It was like during the UAW strike when he was on the microphone. It does kind of feel like he was like, you know, very enthusiastic and willing to be out there. But there's just some times where he just seems like he's like very much sleepwalking through life.
Continue our work on our appropriations bills and electing a new speaker. I was
Let's
very
go!
disappointed that Mr. McHenry said that we won't be engaging in the people's work until next week, until Tuesday of next week, and I think that's burning a lot of time.
One single member to call for a vote.
Wow, he's so upset that that Congress is shut down.
It forces out.
Yeah.
Notice how sad Matt Gaetz is that Congress.
He really wanted this whole situation came from the fact that like they wanted to shut the government down, and now he's just, you know, he's so sad. He's so sad that they won't be able to work on it until like what, Tuesday? He said. He's just so sad about it.
Is shut down for a week, which is definitely not what he wanted to do from the jump, and then literally ended up fucking ousting Kevin McCarthy over for stopping that from happening, and knowing full well that that is exactly what would happen. Oh man, it's so sad, dude. No way.
Today, and that things again just seem to stay the same.
Let's go, Freedom Caucus, baby.
In the right direction. Thank you, guys.
This is the best outcome right here. I nominate Donald J. Trump for Speaker of the House. There you go. That's your best timeline right there. I'm mostly joking, but at the same time, it would just make them look so much worse, let's be honest.
Unfortunately, 4% of our conference can join all the Democrats and dictate who can be the Republican Speaker in this House. I don't think that rule is good for the institution, but apparently I'm the only one. I believe I can continue to fight, maybe in a different manner. I will not run for Speaker again.
What's that I hear?
Pick somebody else.
On the horizon.
I hope you realize that every day I did the job, regardless whether you underestimated me or not, I wanted to do it with a smile.
Oh, shut the fuck
I grew
up!
to enjoy you, even on your toughest days and your
God, this is
questions.
so bitch made.
Oh my God.
Saturday, I took a risk for the American public. Regardless what anybody says, no one knew whether that would pass.
Salute the troop, man.
The Democrats
Salute him.
didn't want that bill.
Our fallen
Yes,
soldier.
They put a fire alarm. Yes, they do their conga line. Yes, they wanted to delay.
Dude, the
It was all
bagpipes
for the
rip
American people.
as the background
I could
on
not
this.
look the troops in the eye and say I would not pay them.
Oh, God, shut up.
For those who spoke on the floor, I thank them for their positive talk. I don't know what those who voted against and said there was some deal, they were never a part of any deal.
Dude, you weren't even House Speaker for a fucking year. I would not give this much of a, impassionate speech if I were you.